Alright, so here's how you can create a correlation map or else a heat map using React.js and D3.js library here. So I will just go through the code section. I'm not going to code every line of code one by one and waste your time. I will just go through what covers and what happens in each set of code block, and you can get an idea, use an AI, ChatGPT or Cloud AI or anything, and build your code using this knowledge. So this is the heat map component that I'm rendering in here. So everything related to generating this heat map happens inside this useEffect. So I'm using this render heat map function here. So if you have a look, so this is the place I am rendering this SVG heat map, and below you can see the tooltip that it's coming. So you can see there's a tooltip in here, so it's rendered on here, and we pass these references to this function here inside the render heat map function. So this is the entire render heat map function. It's a bit of long, so that's why I moved it to a separate file. So let's see what happens here. So I pass these references. So this is the references where the SVG is rendered. This is the place the tooltip is rendered, and this is the metrics. So metrics plays a major role here. That's the data that I'm passing to render these heat points with the accuracy of the color and everything. So if we have a look at the data structure here, so it's an object, but you can see inside each object I have passed the value for each correlation. For example, React and Java. In here it has number of jobs that has React and Java 25. So React and Java 25 jobs here. So that's how I have passed this matrix here, and in the below you can see how I've used this matrix to pass each of these values, the number of job values for each data point, React and Java, in the below code. So I'm getting this matrix here, and also I pass the chart width and chart height, and I'm using a React hook to get the chart width, and the chart height is also the same. So this is related to styling and the on cell hover. Like you can see, once I click go to this near this each cell, you can see something, a kind of a div appears at the bottom, you can see. So the data related to this card below this heat map is passed through this function here. All right, so what you have to pay more focus is how D3.js is creating all these cells. So let's have a look on that one first. I will go step by step. First of all, once you load this component, it hits the useEffect, and useEffect comes to this function here, and first of all it's clear out the initial, if there's an initial SVG, they just clear out using this D3.select, select all, and remove function here. And after that I'm getting the key values for this all the technologies. I will get this React, Java, Python. So this is the technology stack. This is how I'm getting using object.keys method here, and these are the margin values that I pass, so related to styling and height, width. So let's see how these values are used below. First of all, I'm creating the SVG map, not the cells, just the SVG canvas here. So this is how you can set a width and height for your SVG map using D3 methods. First of all, D3.select, I pass this reference to find out, to give the D3 the specific place where I should render my SVG map here. So I pass this SVG reference coming from this component here. So this is the place I want my SVG map canvas to render. So I give a height and width to the canvas. You can pass it from the component, or if you want to give a fixed value, you can set the fixed height and width here. What you have to remember is you have to give the height, width, and the reference or place where you should render it. And also you can see I have added a G. This G stands for group, so we are kind of tagging this SVG canvas for us a group. So you can see I have used this same group to add the axis, x-axis, y-axis, so everything happens to this group. So we are grouping this canvas using append.g here. And then I'm creating the scales. So this is the x-axis and this is the y-axis. Previously I managed to pass the width and height of the canvas here to this function. So first of all, I'm creating the x-axis here and I give the range from 0 to the width. So this is the width, and from 0 to the width. So that's how the x-axis is getting scaled. And also if you have a look at the domain, I pass an array here, the technology stack, so that's what it's rendering in here, and the padding values in between these items here. And similar to the Y scale, I do the same, and the range I pass the 0 and the height value. And here using the number of jobs, I'm finding the highest number of jobs to decide the max value, and it will be used in creating this color scale here. So this is the color scale, like, you know, from light to dark, to define how light it should be and how dark should be, and to find out the variation, I'm creating this color scale using the D3 scale sequential method here. And also you can, you know, I have used interpolate reds, you can use interpolate greens or anything you wish to represent this color scale. And one interesting thing that I have used here is this tooltip is also generated inside the SVG itself. So here you can see I'm using this tooltip reference to find out the specific div, and then I set the opacity to 0 at the beginning, and I have styled this tooltip using Tailwind CSS. Domain stands for the main baseline or else the x-axis. By removing it, you can see I don't have the x-axis here, so this code removes the baseline here. And the next thing is creating the legend, and before that you can see I have added the title as well using the SVG, created using this SVG append text here. So I have minimized it to appear only there's enough margin value, but you know, you can adjust it as you're needed. And the next thing is creating the legend. In here also I'm creating the legend height and width. This is specifically kind of, you know, drawing on top of SVG. We have to give the width, height, and not like other React components, you don't have already built legends and stuff. You have to pass this, build this step by step on top of the canvas, which gives you a lot of flexibility. So this legend consists with different key areas. First of all, we have the legend canvas here, and then we have the legend scale, which is going from 0 to here 150 plus, and the legend axis, that's mean this base axis here. And next thing is, you can see we have defs created a separate this is called definitions, svg.append defs. If we have a look at the dev tools, we can easily identify that one. If we have a look here, so this is the definition that is created in here, and we have created a linear gradient with ID here, linear gradient inside the defs. So you can see everything, the legend is rendered inside the defs here. So if we delete this def, you can see this gradient color bar is gone. So that's where the color bar is drawn using D3.js. So once we created the definition and once we insert this linear gradient here, then we can add those color scales from what's the color scale on 0 point, what's the color scale when it goes to 100%. So we use this color scale function, which we defined earlier, to return those proper color value on each point. So that's how it's done. And this is the place where we draw this rectangle legend. Here we have defined the color scheme, we have defined the axis, color scale and everything. And this is the place using append rect. This is where we draw this rectangle. We give the width of this legend, we give the height for this legend, and then we pass this place that we created inside the definition here to be able to draw this rectangle. So it's drawn on the specified place, and using this block of code we are calling this legend axis that we created earlier to get appended to this legend we created. So previously we just created the legend axis with 5 ticks. When it's greater than 500 of width, you can see number of ticks here, 1 2 3 4 5 ticks, and we have created this legend here, but it's not appended to the group here, so we are appended it to a legend group in here. And also, before ending this video, I want to show how this grouping things work. So previously you can see we have created different groups in here. So this is how the grouping things work. You can see at the top we have a group for the entire canvas that we defined using this SVG at the top. So this is the first group that we have, and inside that group we have other multiple groups. So we have a separate section for this legend here. If we scroll below, you can see we have a separate group for this legend here, and inside a separate group for these ticks that we created, and inside each tick is also grouped. This is done from the D3.js. So this is, once you group it, it's easy to add colors, add styles. So once we group this legend as a single group, we can add the x-axis or the base axis for this legend here once, because it's grouped already. So that's how the grouping is happening inside these SVGs. So it's a little bit of interesting. You can see there's a separate group for the x-axis here, a separate group for y-axis, and yeah, it's a bit of interesting because this kind of SVG stuff are not discussed very much by other YouTubers. So I thought of giving it a try and explain how to create a bit of advanced heat map using pure D3.js and Next.js or React components. And yep, I will try to share this code with on my website, and you can go through from there. And yeah, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel and drop a thumbs up for this video as well if you love this kind of content. So let's meet with another tutorial like this. See you.